This is the time which would ordinarily be taken up with the regular main title, but I've taken the liberty, under the unusual circumstances, of preempting that time in order to introduce you to a character I'd like you to meet. He's a fellow I've always wanted to meet myself. For many years, he's been a favorite character of mine and a favorite of millions all over the world. That's him in that car, driving through London. Quite a car, that, for among other things, fast cars are his hobby. His name is Bulldog Drummond. Ordinarily, he's very careful about traffic regulation, but not right now. He's in a hurry, as he usually is when danger beckons and a friend is in need.
Oh, Captain Drummond, Mrs. Ludlow is...
I know. Ah, you're Harriet Ludlow. Tell me, did anyone know you were coming here? Notice anyone following you? Been here long? Now, what's all this about Felix? Your message said he was missing, that you wanted to see me, and that you were worried.
I did not know who else to turn to. My husband always spoke of you as an old friend.
Excuse me. Do sit down. Drummond here.
You may be sure we can shoot better than that, Captain Drummond. We won't miss the next time. May I suggest you stay out of affairs that are none of your business?
Sorry about that interruption. No, you were saying...
We only arrived here last week from Vienna. Felix wrote you we were coming.
Yes.
I do not understand it. He's never done any harm to anyone. He's been kidnapped.
Kidnapped? Well, have you called the police? How do you know he's been kidnapped? Couldn't be for money. He never had any that I know of.
If you'll only give me a chance, I will...
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I did not go to the police, because the man said that I would never see Felix again if I did.
Man? What man?
The man who telephoned me this morning. He said that they were holding Felix and would not release him unless I gave him the formula. You see, we've been working on a new kind of antibiotic.
We?
I also acted as Felix's secretary. Then there was Roger Benning. He was assisting Felix.
Well, why should anyone kidnap Felix in order to get it? The formula, I mean.
Apparently it is worth a great deal of money. Felix was offered a fortune for it by one of the biggest drug companies in the world.
Good for old Felix. He deserves it.
Well, it happened after we had our first argument.
Go on. Tell me the rest.
I had thought that all our money troubles were over. But Felix wanted to give the formula away, not sell it. He said that a true scientist does not work for personal profit, but only to help humanity.
That was very noble.
Yes, I know. He's a wonderful man. If only I had listened to him. When I didn't, he said that he better complete the formula alone, so that none of us would be tempted to dispose of it.
Where's the formula now?
It is at home in a safe, but only Felix has the combination.
Now, don't you worry, Mrs. Ludlow. The police really should be called in, but I see your point. Now, where do you live? Can I take you home? Could I meet this, what's-his-name, Benning?
Of course. May I telephone him to meet us there?
Certainly. Kelly, how many times have I told you?
It'll save you having to brief me later, sir.
Tell the boss she left with Drummond in his car at 11:35.
Yes. Wouldn't be difficult to open for anyone experienced at that sort of thing.
This is Roger Benning, Captain Drummond. You have heard Felix speak of him often.
Of course. How do you do?
How do you do? What ideas have you got about all this?
Well, it's unbelievable. It's the sort of thing you never think could happen to someone you know.
Yes, yes. What can you tell me about the formula?
Oh, not a great deal. I only worked on the preliminary experiments. It's a mold derivative like penicillin, non-allergic, cheap to manufacture, and could have earned him millions in royalties.
And he was going to give it away?
I tried to persuade him to sell it, but he's not what you'd call a practical man.
Everything for humanity. A lot humanity has done for him.
There are some men, thank goodness, who don't place much importance on the material things of life. Any idea how the kidnappers might have found out about the formula?
Well, there must be lots of people who knew what we were working on. Supply houses, technicians at the lab.
I see. Well, one thing's certain. You mustn't let them have the formula, no matter what they threaten.
I would give 1,000 formulas away if I knew it would save Felix.
Unfortunately, Mrs. Ludlow, it wouldn't. If they'd been able to make Felix talk, they wouldn't need the formula. On the other hand, once they have the formula, they don't need Felix. I'm afraid you wouldn't see him again. Now, I want you to promise me you won't tell anybody about that safe.
I do not know. I do not know what to say.
Now, I know you're upset and confused, but just remember, your husband is reasonably safe until they get what they're after. I don't like the idea of your keeping the formula here. It's too easy to get at.
Let me talk to the boss.
Yes?
Drummond left her place at 5:10 and alone.
Right.
What time did you get in last night, sir?
Rather late, I'm afraid. Had a lot of fun, though.
Oh, that American girl, Miss Hughes.
Not that sort of fun. Drummond here. Oh, good morning, Mrs. Ludlow. They did? When?
Sometime last night. We have looked everywhere, but it is not here. A few pieces of jewelry, nothing expensive. And a couple of bonds. No. No, nothing else I can see. Except the formula.
Well, maybe I'd better come over.
All right, but do hurry, please.
I will. Goodbye. Well, Mrs. Ludlow reports that someone rifled her flat last night. Cracked the safe and cleaned it out.
Including the formula?
Including the formula.
Well, you don't seem very worried about it.
About what?
Well, this could be the end of Ludlow if these kidnappers have got the formula and everything.
It could if they had it.
Well, surely they did the burglary.
Don't think so.
Well, if not them, then who? Are you going to let Mrs. Ludlow know, sir?
What? After all the trouble I went to? No, I want to keep that formula out of her reach in case she weakens and decides to deal with them.
Could I have a word with Mr. Ludlow, please? Oh, Mrs. Ludlow. Well, Mrs. Ludlow, I'm the man who cracked your safe last night. Now, just let me do all the talking, ma'am. Look, I'm willing to let you have the whole lot back for £100. Envelope? Oh, now that you come to mention it, I think there was one. It only had a lot of crazy writing in it. Didn't make no sense at all. Well, 50 quid then. Right, well, meet me at the Hotel Innis. It's just around the corner from you. Yeah, at noon. But mind you come alone. Otherwise, the deal's off. I'll be seeing you, Mrs. Ludlow.
Oh, that takes care of the second step. We've got to smoke the gang out at the back of this if we're to get poor Ludlow. Now, when you meet Mrs. Ludlow at the inn,
Me? I'm to meet Mrs. Ludlow.
it's 10 to 1. They'll have someone there shadowing her. You hurry her out of the hotel, lose your pursuers, and then refuse to give her the envelope on the pretext that she tried to trap you. Then meet me back here.
But she knows what I look like.
She won't when I get through with you.
What a job. Took me an hour to lose that shadow.
Fortunately, I didn't.
And what?
Lose your shadow. Followed him to the Kinsella Club.
Kinsella? Jim Kinsella in this?
I don't know. But if he is, it's going to be tough. Very tough. Hello? Oh, Mrs. Ludlow. You did?
Yes. Wasn't it lucky?
Fortunately, he had no idea of the formula's value. I am so relieved to have it back again.
Well, that's splendid, Mrs. Ludlow. I'm glad it went so well. Hadn't even taken it out of the envelope, eh? Everything intact.
And Captain Drummond, I want you to know how much I appreciate everything you have done. I shall not trouble you anymore. Oh, no. No, I have given it great thought. Perhaps I should not have come to you in the first place. After all, Felix's safety is the only thing that matters. Goodbye. That might do it, Mr. Kinsella.
Is it better, Mrs. Ludlow? Is it better?
Mr. Kinsella,
Yes?
he spent the morning at 3 chemical labs, but I lost him on the way back.
You blundering fool.
Sorry about that, but he's pretty hard to keep up with. I'm doing my best.
You'd better.
Well, that's Kinsella's club and that's his car. Now all we have to do is to wait for one of his boys to come out and lead us to his hideout. You know, I can't understand a nice woman like Mrs. Ludlow.
Well, as you say, Kelly, it doesn't make sense, but then a woman in love seldom does.
I knew a woman once, sir.
Yes, Kelly.
I still think she should have left it to you, sir.
Maybe she had no choice. They may be calling the tune now. Probably told her to get rid of me. Hello, there's our man. Well, ready or not, here we go.
I ought to have my head examined for doing business with a woman. You hire me for a nice, simple job. Get rid of my husband, you say, and we'll all be rich.
Could you not make Felix cooperate?
What do you think we've been doing?
So she did decide to deal with them direct.
Looks like it.
I told you, the formula has disappeared. You must believe me. It will take some time to get it back.
Look, Mrs. Ludlow, don't try and play this too smart. How do we know you can even find the formula?
I told you a man tried to contact me.
I know. Well, you better come up with it. Gone to a lot of trouble already, and we intend to get paid for it, somehow.
You will get paid.
Okay. I'll give you until 7:30 tomorrow night.
Let's go.
Captain Drummond, I asked you over to apologize. I'm afraid I was rather brusque on the phone. About not needing your help, I mean.
Everything's worked out. Dr. Ludlow will be released this evening.
You will? Wow, that's wonderful news.
Yes, we decided to deliver the formula this evening.
To whom? Where?
I'm afraid we can't tell you that.
Then you have had actual contact with the kidnappers?
Only by telephone, not in person.
Well, I'm glad everything's falling into place. Now, you must excuse me if I run along.
Captain Drummond, I want to thank you again for everything. When Felix and I return, you must come and have some dinner.
You're leaving?
Yes, tonight for Rome. Felix will need a holiday after this terrible experience.
Yes, yes, of course. My wife and I were admiring a house down the road. I wondered if by any chance you could tell me whether it was for sale.
Now, which house would that be, sir?
Well, it's rather a large red brick house. It's about a half a mile from here.
Ah, yes. Belongs to a fellow named Kinsella. A big man in London, they say.
Really? I wonder if you could give me any idea of the size and the number of rooms.
Yes, certainly, sir. I have the particulars here. As a matter of fact, I can even remember the layout. We auctioned it only last year. Now, the ground floor has 5 rooms. The living room here.
How'd you get on, Kelly? Get everything?
I think so, sir. I got the nylon rope, the overalls, the smoke bombs, and here's the fire department, sir.
Good. Well, I managed to get the layout to Kinsella's house.
Well, that's a useful thing to have. Those smoke bombs, sir, they put me in mind of old times. Do you remember when we used them in Italy?
Yes, I also remember some of them didn't go off. Are these reliable?
Well, these aren't issues, sir. These are the best obtainable.
We may need these. I make it exactly 5 minutes of 2.
Right.
Now, precisely at 7 o'clock, you'll phone our old friend Inspector Burroughs and report a disturbance at Kinsella's house and then hang up. And exactly at 8 o'clock, you'll start all your excitement and I'll start the disturbance. Understand?
Very good, sir.
7:57. Here we go.
I phoned Inspector Burroughs, sir. He nearly hit the ceiling. Mrs. Ludlow's just arrived.
Don't say a word. I'll explain everything later. The trick now is to get you out of here. Stay here until I come back for you. Here, have one of those to make you feel better. If he stirs, tap him once with that. That ought to do it. Sorry about the rough treatment, Mrs. Ludlow, but I couldn't risk a sudden outcry.
Captain Drummond, what are you doing here, you fool? Now you have spoiled everything.
Everything for you mean, don't you?
Are you out of your mind? I came here to release my husband.
And what were you going to give for your husband's release?
The formula, of course.
Were you? Now, that's strange. I thought I had it. It's at my house, Mrs. Ludlow.
You do not know what you're saying.
I'm saying, Mrs. Ludlow, that you deliberately planned your husband's death so that you might inherit the formula.
That is not true.
You came to me hoping to clear yourself of any connection with his murder. I was to be your alibi if and when the police came into it. Right from the start, you put every obstacle in my path. You even had Kinsella try to shoot me, I suspect, so that I'd know a gang was involved. But then the formula disappeared. That rather upset your plans. And you tried to persuade me to withdraw from the case.
You're just wasting time, Harriet. I told you he was too shrewd.
Not shrewd enough to suspect you, though.
You might have if you'd known the whole story. Harriet and I did most of the work, often working through the night for precious little pay. And when it was completed, this once-in-a-lifetime discovery, he wanted to give it away. Here, Kinsella, will you, Harriet?
I suppose you planned a last effort tonight to force Dr. Ludlow to cooperate.
That won't be necessary now. You've told us where the formula is. We'll stop off at your house on the way to the airport. Careful, Captain Drummond.
Just reaching for a cigarette?
Have one of these.
Thanks.
Kinsella, Captain Drummond.
Captain Drummond. Well, well, Bulldog Drummond. This is indeed a pleasure.
Thank you.
I've looked forward to this. Too bad we have such little time to get better acquainted.
Yes. Isn't it a pity?
Let an expert take over.
8:00.
Oh, hello, Inspector. Took you long enough to get here.
Should have known when I saw Kelly you'd be close by. What's going on here?
Just a little disagreement with Mr. Kinsella. Suppose you sweep up the pieces and I'll fill in the puzzle later.
Very kind of you, I'm sure. All right, boys, take over.
I'm sorry about Harriet, Felix.
Oh, she was sick. They were both sick. Greed is the most terrible illness of them all. Everything went off well, didn't it, sir?
Well, now, perhaps you'll explain your part in all this.
Well, Dr. Ludlow is an old friend of mine, Inspector. You know how I feel about police work. Leave it to the police every time, I always say.
I'm not so sure that you two shouldn't be joining that parade. And Kelly, why can't you keep this blasted bulldog properly chained up?
Well, you heard what the inspector said. This night air is bad for my delicate constitution. Come on, get me back to the kennel.
There you are, sir. Not a misfire among them. I told you they were the best obtainable.
Every week, Bulldog Drummond will go to some different part of the world in his restless pursuit of adventure. One week he'll find his excitement in Cairo, the next in San Francisco or in Monte Carlo or in Singapore. He'll find romance, he'll rescue friends and help the helpless in London's Mayfair or the East India Dockside or the Montmartre of Paris. Wherever adventure is, he'll find it, because adventure is the business of Bulldog Drummond.